Good evening. Today is Tuesday, February 26th, and this is the start of the Hanson Board of Selectmen meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we do the announcements, I want to do a moment of silence for Wallace Darsh. Wallace was a member and the chairman of the Central Plymouth County Water District from 1965 to 1988, and he was a chairman of the Town Hall Renovations Committee from 1965 to 1980. He was also a member of the Old Colony Planning Council, Sewer Legislation Committee, Hanson Athletic Association since 1947. He was a consultant to the town of Hanson's Water Supply Study Committee 1954, 1960, 1970, and 79. His career spanned over 40 years with the Hanson Water Department. He started out in 1951 and became an acting superintendent in 1954. Let's have a quick moment of silence. Okay, thank you. Take it away, Matt.
All right, good evening, Hanson. Here are this week's announcements. Open burning season has began January 15th and will run until April 30th. Permits are available at the fire headquarters, 505 Liberty Street, daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The cost of a permit is $20 and payable by check or money order made out to the town of Hanson. No cash will be accepted. Nomination papers for the May 18th town election are now available at the town clerk's office. Last day to obtain nomination papers is Monday, March 25th. Nomination papers must be returned to the town clerk by 5 p.m. on March 29th. A minimum of 50 certified signatures of registered voters is necessary for a candidate to be placed on the ballot. The following positions are available: moderator for 1 year, selectman for 3 years, assessor for 3 years, town clerk for 3 years, board of health for 3 years, cemetery commissioner for 3 years, planning board for 5 years, Hanson Housing Authority for a 5-year term as well as a 4-year term, tree warden for a 3-year term, 2 trustees of the public library for a 3-year term, 2 Whitman-Hanson Regional School District Committee pre-K through 12 for a 3-year term, and 2 water commissioners for a 3-year term. For more information, contact the town clerk at 781-293-2772. The town clerk urges all voters and residents who have not returned their 2019 census form to do so as soon as possible. Any voter who has not returned their 2019 census form will be placed on the inactive voter list for future elections. The Hanson Public Library has teamed up with the Boston Bruins to participate in their annual pajama drive to benefit the DCF kids and Cradles to Crayons. The Boston Bruins PJ Drive will run from February 1st through March 15th. The library will be collecting new pajamas for babies, children, and teens. The Hanson Key Club the Whitman-Hanson Key Club will be holding their first annual prom fair at the Whitman-Hanson Regional High School tonight from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The dress swap and prom tickets will be available for purchase. Local vendors will be on hand, and all proceeds will support the American Cancer Society. For more information, contact the event chair, Alicia Etkin, at 781-618-8749. Whitman-Hanson Dollars for Scholars will host their 12th annual Taste of Whitman-Hanson on Thursday, March 7th at the VFW in Whitman from 5:30 to 8 p.m. Up to 24 local restaurants and food vendors will be offering samples from their menu. Tickets are $15 per person in advance and $20 at the door with limited capacity. Tickets are available at Duval's Pharmacy, Ford's Assurance, Sandy's Coffee Corner, and the town clerk's office in both Whitman and Hanson. All proceeds from the evening will benefit the Dollars for Scholars. For more information, please contact Mike Ginchert at 781-252-9683. On March 16th, the Hanson Business Network will be hosting its 3rd annual St. Patrick's Day fundraiser to benefit the Hanson Food Pantry from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. at the Needles Lodge in Camp Kewanee. This event will be a St. Patrick's themed shindig complete with dinner with live Irish music, DJ'd Irish music, and Irish step dancing. Cash bar and a silent auction, as well as a St. Patrick's photo booth. Tickets are a bargain at $25 a person and may be purchased online at Eventbrite or by emailing Laura Kemet or calling at 781-294-1261. Discounts are available for folks who purchase 8 or more tickets. Please visit the Hanson Business Network Facebook page for more information. If you can't attend but wish to donate an item for a silent auction or raffle, it would be deeply appreciated. Volunteers are needed on the following committees: the 200th Anniversary, Capital Improvement, Cultural Council, Economic Development, Elder Affairs, Finance, Historic Commission, Memorial Day Patriot Observance, Memorial Field Trustees, Recreation Commission, Zoning Board Alternate, applications and appointment, and more information on the committees are available on the town website at hanson-ma.gov. Vacancies are on the following elected boards: Board of Health, Board of Library Trustees, and 1 member from the Hanson Housing Authority. Applications for appointment and more information on the committees are available at the town website at hanson-ma.gov. And here are the upcoming meetings. The McQuon Reuse will be meeting on tomorrow, January 27th at 5:30 p.m. The Whitman-Hanson Facilities Committee will be meeting tomorrow as well, February 27th at 6 p.m. Following would be the Whitman-Hanson Regional School District School Committee at 7 p.m. Energy Committee will be meeting tomorrow, February 27th at 7 p.m. The 200th anniversary will be meeting on Thursday, February 28th at 7 p.m. Selectmen will be there as well. Finance Committee will be March 4th at 7 p.m. Selectmen will be meeting on both March 12th and 26th, both at 7 p.m.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, first under new business, we have the swearing in of one of the toughest cops that I know, Patrolman Alicia Sullivan, to the rank of sergeant. Chief Mix?
Thank you. I promise, Mr. Mitchell, I keep this quick.
Appreciate that, Chief.
We had a vacancy in the past, it came up in the past year with the promotion of Lieutenant Casey from sergeant to lieutenant. With that, we went through a process. When I came here, we started the process to be a combination of written exams and assessment centers. For those who aren't familiar with an assessment center, it puts the candidates in a real life situations in scenarios to test their skills, knowledge, and abilities to handle the job. And one of the most important jobs in the police department is the sergeant, the first line supervisor. As they refer to me, and I don't think that I know that, the dreaded admin people upstairs, we depend upon them incredibly. And they're that gap that we need to get the mission done, what we need done, make sure everybody's safe. They're that key and that catalyst to the patrol officers. They're teachers, they're mentors, and leaders. And to test for that is very difficult. Alicia was one of 5 candidates. I was actually very proud of all of them. Everybody passed, which is a testament to the department and to their knowledge. That doesn't usually happen when these companies come in and do the assessment. So the assessors were very excited and proud and impressed with the quality of people that we put forward. That being said, Alicia topped it, and with that I came to you a couple weeks ago and asked you to promote her. A couple of things about Sergeant Sullivan. She's a graduate. Now I lost my place and I didn't bring my glasses. She started on as a police officer in 2013. Oh, she started on with us in 2013. Prior to that, she was in Plimpton. She was an officer in Scituate and also with the Boston Housing Authority. She's got 11 years of experience in law enforcement. Her bachelor's degree is in biology at Simmons College. I still scratch my head why she's not a teacher, but that's okay. We're happy she decided to come to us and stay with us. She's one of the sexual assault investigators that we have, and she also helps coordinate the drug overdose prevention program that we have. She's one of the department's coordinators for working with the Plymouth County Outreach on overdose follow-ups and intervention, and I'm proud to say she's our newest sergeant, and I'm looking forward to having her in that leadership role. Also to recognize her parents are here. We thank them, and also her husband, Brian. And we got Ellie. Ellie's busy right now with something, though. Did you give her an electronic device? Yeah, all right. So I think Ellie was gonna try and pin
Oh, boy.
Sergeant Sullivan. I'm not so sure that's the smartest move, but if you don't mind coming up, and Brian, I think you're coming up too, right? That's why I'm having him come up. You gotta face the camera, right? They need a good picture. Brian, you get in there, I'll take it.
Solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as police sergeant to the best of your abilities in accordance with the bylaws of the town and the laws of the Commonwealth. Congratulations.
That was close. Well, that was lovely.
Well done.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
You know that.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Stay safe.
Congratulations.
Brian, did she tell you you have to change your name to Sullivan? We just don't want to change our paperwork.
No, she's already changed it. It's official.
Alicia passed the test, the sergeant's exam on a Monday, and then they got married that following weekend in Mexico.
Oh, no
So
kidding.
they've been busy this week.
Congratulations.
Good luck, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Is the library? I don't
I don't see the library here yet.
You see the?
The library people aren't here yet,
Okay.
so we can.
That cleared the room, Ken.
Yeah, I did.
Well,
Okay, so we will go to, let's do the
FXM first.
introduction of the FXM associate. Frank, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Mehehi.
Where do you want me?
Come on up to the podium, please, sir. Did you guys get a chance to review the economic development? So we had Frank come in, if you guys had any questions. So if anybody has any questions, you can.
I'm going to very just brief introduce myself. I'm Frank
Sure,
Mahady,
absolutely.
principal of FXM Associates. We're a small economic consulting firm, 5 people, professionals based in Mattapoisett. We've all been at it for more years than I want to count. Our practice is international. In the last couple of years, the local work we've done, we've worked in Carver, we've worked in Plymouth, we've worked in we're finishing up an economic development strategy right now in Wareham. We did one last year in Fairhaven. We've been working in Hull, Cohasset. We're about to work in Situate. I grew up in Weymouth. I went to Weymouth High School. We've done some work at Union Point in my old neighborhood. So we're pretty familiar with the South Shore and the market here. And what we'll do is we'll take a look at market trends and opportunities to expand your commercial tax base, jobs, in Hanson by looking at trends in your existing businesses as well as in the larger market area. We'll look at real estate trends in retail, office, flex, and industrial space, and we'll see how that applies hypothetically to the town, and then we'll look at specific areas. In particular, Mike wants us to focus on South Hanson and the TOD area.
Right.
Which, and we also have a unique product called we have a housing demand model that's a really good way of assessing potential for rental housing. And we'll look at it by age and income and tell you what your prospective demand for rental housing, which I assume is, if with the right site and the right product, would be pretty good around the commuter rail station. I don't know why it hasn't happened yet, but we're gonna.
There's a variety of reasons, which you'll discover shortly.
Well, and that's why I'm here, is what I really need from all of you are those insights. Mike has my email address.
Yeah.
Just send me anything you want to say, anybody that you want us to talk to, so that we can flesh out exactly what's going on and what those
No,
opportunities
in all
might be.
honesty, it's really because it's so contiguous to the wetlands, and so.
I read that in the old master
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah, so I would assume that when you do this, that you'll be looking at the work that Old Colony Planning Council already did. They did a study about what could be done with Plymouth County Hospital and did quite a few of the analyses that you're proposing to do here.
How recent were they?
That was about 3 to 4 years ago.
Yeah, no, we will. I haven't seen those reports, but
They did housing, they did market gaps, they did traffic on 27, 58, all the main roads.
Great.
I don't know that they particularly addressed housing in depth in that, but we did just finish a housing plan, a housing production plan.
Okay, that's a little different than what we'll be
Yep,
doing.
Yep. But I think that will be beneficial for
Sure.
you to know that we do in fact have quite a gap here, in terms of housing for, that's affordable for people that are
Yeah,
want to
no,
age
you
in
have,
town.
your median and average incomes are
Yeah.
higher than they are in Plymouth County or the state overall. I can
Yeah.
imagine you have some affordable housing issues, to put it mildly.
So, what can we expect for a product, in terms of, are you going to just present that information, or are you really going to propose, and here are the 5 top things that we think you guys should do if you want to move the needle in that area?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that, we've been at this for so long, neither I nor anyone in my staff has any interest in producing a pretty report that sits on the shelf. We've been there and done that,
Yep.
and we want to see things happen, so we're going to be as pragmatic as we can. One of the issues for going forward with an economic development strategy is we have to be very cognizant of the resources that you have to implement it. We're not going to propose you do things that will require a staff of 20. We're going to look very seriously at the resources you have to move forward with things, the coordination that you can do with OCPC. Is there a person at OCPC I should contact?
Yeah, Mike can give you all that
Mike can give me all that
but we're
information.
we're very entrenched with OCPC.
Yeah, I gathered, and I think that we'll certainly not reinvent any wheels. We'll use everything that's out there so that we can drill down on things that haven't been done.
Okay, great,
That's how we do it.
great.
But you should feel free, as I said, to contact me at any time, to send me. One of the things we want to do is, and I've asked Mike, is a list of, a dozen or so people that you think are key for us to talk to one-on-one, so we can complement our analytic work.
Yeah, that area is just an area that everybody in town drives by, they cringe, they wish something could be
Yeah.
done with it. Everybody acknowledges that there's great traffic flow there, and so it just is befuddling. We just need some catalyst to move things forward there.
Yeah, I think that there's, what we have seen working in smaller towns with limited market potential, there's such a pent-up demand for rental housing. And if you target it to young professionals and empty nesters, it's going to have minimal impact on your schools, if any. And there's a very strong market right now. The hottest market in real estate right now is co-working space.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
And
Is
if
what?
you
I'm
saw
sorry.
co-working
Co-working
space.
Oh, okay.
You see
And if you
that in
saw the
Boston.
Globe article
Yep,
this morning,
yep.
those guys, workbenches, moving into, they're going to go big guns into the suburbs. And what co-working space is, it's not just for small firms, it's for individuals who don't want to commute every day to Boston.
Right, right.
And so they rent space, and for the developers of co-working space, it's a real deal because they get to double, triple, quadruple charge for the space depending on the occupants. So that's something that is a fairly new phenomenon. We looked at that really in depth in Fairhaven because they have some shopping centers that are losing tenants.
Yeah.
And this co-working space can go anywhere or it can be newly developed. And if you mix it potentially in a project that has office and residential and maybe some selected retail, you might be able to make the numbers work
That's exciting.
in ways
Yeah.
that they haven't
Yeah.
worked in the past. And we're very familiar with the mixed-use concept. It's every major as well as minor development in Greater Boston is mixed use now.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, no one does standalone shopping centers, no one does standalone office parks, and fewer doing standalone residential. And so there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of developers out there interested in doing that kind of project. You know, as one of the mistakes that have been made at Union Point for decades, I grew up within stone's throw distance of the base, is no one imagined it would be a business park. And it's ideal. If you look at the
Lost
number of people,
opportunity.
yeah, you look at the number of
Yeah.
people from the South Shore commute to Boston, and it'd be a great place to intercept them. So there's opportunities now that we wouldn't have said were out there just 5 or 10 years ago. So hopefully we can find something that will be intriguing for you in Hanson.
Sounds
That's our
great.
goal, is to give you something that can happen.
Question for you, sir.
Frank, now I've got two. I had one coming in, but now I have two. Whether it's renovating down on Main Street or new construction, the major problem we have in Hanson is septic, because we're not attached to anybody, so, especially down that end of town with the wetlands,
Yep,
I mean, it would just be something that,
huge issue.
yeah, you wouldn't see, but it's got to be dealt with.
They have that and water problems in Carver, which is why there hasn't been much in the vicinity of that new interchange with 44. Yeah, it's a big issue. You have to have a lot of land to do your on-site disposal system.
Union Point, you had
Yeah.
mentioned in Weymouth, my mother-in-law lives there, has been there for over a year now.
Yeah,
Those storefronts
they haven't happened
are
yet.
still empty.
Yes, they are. Yeah, there's some issues at Union Point that obtained to a very large development that L-Star, I love those guys, I did some work for them, but they overreached, and now they're in trouble financially. It's too bad, because it's a great site, and whatever happens there could benefit Hanson as well in terms of job opportunities. So, yeah, I'm quite aware of what's going on there and why it hasn't happened yet. But, you know, they went a lot of years without doing anything useful.
Yeah, they did.
No question?
No.
Mr.
Did-
Chair, I would
yeah.
probably recommend maybe, if it's possible, to maybe have the Board of Selectmen sit down with you at some other point, just to kind of discuss what we've seen and what we've heard from being elected officials, and kind of go from there. I think everyone has a unique point of view
Yeah.
that might benefit.
I'm
the
I'm
economic
happy, I'm
development.
happy to do that. I also had suggested to Mike, it's not in our scope, but I'm happy to do it, is to have a focus group. You know,
Yes.
10, 15 key people in town will sit around in a room and bash our brains out till we come up with something that everybody thinks is a good way to go forward. We've had a couple of wonderful focus groups in Wareham.
Our town does actually pretty well with focus groups. We seem
ya?
to, yeah, we really do. We
Great.
seem to get a cross-section of people and get some good ideas popping. Mike, if
Wonderful.
we could make that part of what we do with these guys, I think that would be great.
You know, that helps me enormously to be able to bounce things off of.
Mike, will you send him all of our information?
Yep, that's exactly what I, to Matt's point, I think it probably makes sense for each of the selectmen individually to speak with Frank, and then we can put together a focus group as well, but that way, in terms of logistics and open meeting and all of that, so that you can, have a one-on-one, which he and I will.
Well,
set up.
one of the things, that's a good point, Mike, one of the things, because you have open meeting
Yes.
rules, and one of the features of what we do, and we consider it very important, is to have one-on-one confidential conversations with people, usually by telephone. Believe it or not, that sometimes works better than face-to-face, but we're happy to do that with any of you. Mike has my information, feel free to call, and anything that, and you can tell anybody that we might interview, any business person or whatever, I'm going to ask them everything that my staff is even more rigorous. We'll ask them their life story, their pro forma, what's working, what's not working. But we pledge confidentiality, and after 40 years doing this kind of work, I can assure you we'll keep everything confidential and represent it only in the aggregate as part of our general findings. So
Okay,
you can
thank
tell
you,
us.
Frank.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you-
Mr. Chair, I have one
Okay,
more
go ahead.
quick question. We're now at the end of February.
Yeah.
Is the April 30th date, is that pushing it?
That's pushing it, but we'll try.
Well, I mean, was there a reason why we had the April 30th date, Mike?
We can readjust that, we can revisit that.
Because Frank, I thought I read it was 12 to 16 weeks.
Yes, yeah.
And you're talking 8.
We were a little slow getting started, yep.
I mean,
is
we'd
it-
rather quality than.
Yeah, I mean, is it a
Yeah,
big deal to
another
push it
month
back
should be
a month?
great for us, yeah.
So what's the date?
Because you have to finish the grant by, what, June 1st?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have it done before then.
So couldn't we go May 30th then? Just-
Yeah, that's
Or maybe
fine.
May 15th, just to give
May
us a little
15th, yeah,
wiggle.
whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, no,
I just,
we're flexible.
I don't want it rushed.
I
No,
agree.
no, in fact, actually, we've gotten a surprising amount of the initial data crunching already done.
Okay.
But, yeah, I think it's,
But 2 more weeks would be great, and then we could sit down and look at it.
that's right, that gives us some time. Plus you have town meeting,
Yes.
Yeah.
which I know is an all-absorbing
It's all hands
passion.
on deck.
Oh, in every town.
So this
yeah.
would come in right after town
Yeah,
meeting.
so we'll go May 15th.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Jim, why don't you make a motion to amend the contract, and then Frank and
Okay,
I
I'd
will
like to
take
make
care
a
of
motion to amend the contract from the April 30th, 2019 date to May 15th, 2019.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor?
it. And I'll just
5-0.
issue an amendment to it.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Is that it? Any
Great,
questions?
yeah.
Okay.
I just have one more
Oh.
question. Mike, how are you going to obtain the list of people that you propose, aside from us, that this gentleman is going to interview?
I'll go through the contacts that, I've developed over the last 3 years, and I will ask the Board of Selectmen individually if they have any, if they have any suggestions as to who I may not have put on it. And probably, Frank and I, we've been talking at great extent for the last couple of weeks or so. So I think Frank has a pretty good idea of what we're looking for, and I have a pretty good idea, and I think you guys do now, as well as to what they can do and what they will do. So as a part of that ongoing conversation with Frank, we'll put together that list, and it obviously can be expanded upon at any time.
So you'll throw together a preliminary list, pass it by us, and we'll see if there's somebody we want to
Yep.
add to it. Okay, great.
Yeah, I can't guarantee you we'll hit everybody, but more is, at this point, is better than less, and we'll do
Okay.
as many as we can.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay, next up, we're gonna move to
Thanks, Frank.
you.
Do we need to vote to actually accept this contract, because we
No.
moved to change it? But we
You already
You already
voted
voted
on
the
that.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
I
just wanted
This
to
was
make
just an
sure.
introduction.
Yeah.
Okay.
The trustees aren't here, so let's go to review and vote the recreation rate increases. Diane and John, how are you guys? Very good. Good, thank you for coming.
Are you doing the
That's all right, you
speaking?
made it. You have no voice? Oh, John, you gotta help her out.
Mine's loud, so I'm reading.
So I just want to say, what you have in your packets, I don't know if you're following along on the iPads or on the packets, but when I made copies, the white copies are the old rates. The new rates are on the green forms.
Oh, okay.
So I
Glad
just
you said
thought
that.
color coordinating might be a little bit easier
Yeah,
for
so
everybody.
we're looking at the green.
I have actually in their packets the wedding rates first.
Wedding rates, okay.
Yep.
Okay. These are the proposed changes to the wedding rates for the Camp Quaney Lodge. Friday evening and Sunday day or evening, we proposing raising the rate to $4,000 for a rental from $3,500, and Saturday rates to $5,500 from $5,000. You want me to read the fine things too with it? Okay. And then the additional lodge fees would be $250 per hour for each additional reception hour beyond the 5-hour event. $150 per hour for each additional setup hour beyond the 4-hour allotted setup time. For the Needles Lodge and South End camping packages available May through October, South End camping package can be added for an additional $500 for wedding packages and include services from the above and the entire South End, including the pavilion, bridal cottage, large and small electric cabins for one night. Check-in at 3 p.m., check-out at 11 a.m. Friday evening and Sunday day evening for December through March, the rates would be $3,000 to rent the lodge, and for Saturday it would be $4,000. These are wedding rates. Security deposits are $1,000 for lodge weddings, $500 for non-wedding functions, 10% discount for Hanson residents. Lodge must be booked by the Hanson resident. Weddings may only book accommodations for one night, so the package can be offered to each of our couples. Non-wedding functions will be allowed to book events 10 months prior to functions during peak season. Peak season runs from May 1st to October 31st. For showers, birthday parties, anniversary parties, etc., a 4-hour function, the new price would be $440, which includes setup time. And does that 4 hours include setup? That's included in the 4 hours. And a 10% discount for Hanson residents. For company workshops, which is a 5-hour function, which includes setup times, the rate would be $1,000. We need to vote on those first or do the whole thing? Keep going, keep going. The cove rates, which we want to institute for the 2019 cove season.
So can we just ask questions about this?
Sure, yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
All right, because I sort of feel like they're kind of separate.
Sure, yeah.
If we implement these, first of all, I'm wondering, what was your process to decide what these new amounts were going to be? Did you do a competitive analysis with other venues, similar venues? Not that there's anything exactly like Camp Kiwanee, and have you also done an analysis of if we had the same run rate for rentals that we've had this year, next year, what would the additional revenue be?
Yeah.
You can do sign language if it's easier.
You're right, there really isn't a whole lot. It's like Camp Kiwanee. But there are a few facilities. One was in Carver, I think you looked at other ones.
Yeah.
And I think it's reasonable, it's in that range. We actually lowered the price for the non-busy season, just as Matt suggested, to make that, so that we can encourage people to book a wedding in the non-busy season.
Yep.
What was your question, I'm sorry?
How much, if we implement this prospectively, how much additional revenue would you project if we had the same rentals that we've had?
We have not done that analysis. We do have a list of rentals so far this year. And we can do it. This is, do you have this?
No, I do not.
Okay. I'm just gonna give you.
Was it this?
No, she's
I
got
don't,
something
that shows
different.
up different.
And we're pretty much on target with the same amount of rentals that we've had over the last few years. I know that they come in slowly, and I think people were very worried previously that there wasn't gonna be enough events to support, but Lon has said that this is pretty typical, and
It's sort
People
of
kind of wait till the
cyclical.
last
Yeah.
minute to book.
Yeah, is that surprising?
A lot of weddings
Yeah.
recently, in the past few years, we've seen a lot last minute. I mean, myself, I just booked a wedding for June 21st of this year. As far as 2020.
John, I'm sorry, this is a DJ though, right?
Yeah, this is.
So they-
Yeah,
They
was gonna say,
rented, whatever
let your
hall
wife
they were
know.
renting, they rented it.
yeah, they rented that last minute. No, they rented it last minute, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of stuff's last minute. 2020 isn't bad, people just started booking for 2020. So I think we'll be in good shape. I don't want to digress on what we're doing here now, but we are taking steps to, for instance, Josh for some reason took the wedding page off the website, which which I just added back in. So we went a few months, but any wedding page on there.
That's unfortunate.
So there were a few things that were going on that, and we don't have a full-time wedding or event sales person there, where most venues do. So a lot of it's just calling the admin and, selling. Brides are very particular, they wanna see a place, they wanna compare, they wanna look online, and one thing that I'll be doing until we get a recreation director is just getting that website up to speed, putting things on the website like the St. Patrick's Day dinner, which is not on the website. Now it is.
Now, have you guys thought about maybe doing a virtual video to put on there so that brides could envision what their event would look like?
Great idea, but we need none of us are really savvy enough to do that.
I just came up with the idea. I wouldn't have the
Yeah.
ability to do it.
But,
Yeah.
Well, actually, we have a videographer
Yeah.
who wants to work out at the camp, doing outside, and he was looking for people to sort of play a bride and do a camping aspect. He actually has a lot of stuff online. He actually just got done filming for the Plymouth,
400?
thank you,
Yeah.
extravaganza. Doing the monument, the Pilgrim Monument, the Founding Fathers Monument, I should say. And all this stuff is on YouTube, and he's trying out with drones and everything. He's tried to get up to the camp a couple of times, but there were different problems with the drone and stuff like that, and he was committed to Plymouth. So as the weather gets better, he's gonna come up and he's gonna start doing overhead shots of the site and everything, which we are going to be putting on our website. And he actually got in touch with some people that reenact Revolutionary War with Native Americans and soldiers and stuff to actually play out something at the camp as well. So looking forward to seeing what that is.
Do you guys have a list of current weddings for this year?
No, that's the non-weddings.
I do. Yeah, I have it. And we can go with just May or June. I have June highlighted, June of 2019. But, John, I wanted to preface this by saying that you said when Josh left,
Yeah.
he took the website down.
No, we didn't take the website.
No,
We took
just
the-
a
there was
page.
This is weddings?
On the website,
Okay.
just dedicated to weddings.
He just what?
There was a page
I just
on the
wanted to say
website
an
just
idea of how many
dedicated
guys
to
have
weddings.
voted, so.
Quite a
And
few.
for some strange reason, we removed that.
Okay.
So when I went in last night, to see what was there was a wedding page done, but it wasn't on the site. So I added it back into the site, into the menu, put the page back up, on the website, and just tweaked it with some more pretty pictures and all that good stuff.
And the reason I asked that is he left in December, and you had said about weddings being last minute. My
Right.
daughter's getting married in April.
Uh-huh.
She has planned that out since February
Oh, yeah.
of 2018. It's 14,
Yeah.
15 months.
Yeah.
So even with Josh taking the website, the wedding
Yeah.
page down, for June of 2019, you have 2 weddings total.
In June, yeah.
In June.
Yeah.
Total. In June of 2018, there was 7.
Yeah.
So I don't think Josh taking the
Oh, no,
wedding site
definitely
down
not.
had anything to do
We're
with,
not playing a blame game.
Oh, no, I'm not playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you were
because
just
what
saying.
my concern is going to the future, you're raising the rates, and I have the figures going all the way back to 2014.
Yeah.
And the weddings have been on a steady decline since 16. Yet you want to raise the rates.
Well, we
So
don't have a wedding function, we don't have a sale, you go to any other venue. I've been in the wedding business for almost 30 years. They have sales coordinators that sell the weddings.
And that help
Yeah.
them,
But we didn't have a wedding coordinator back in 2013, 14, 15, or 16 either.
Yeah.
So I still don't understand why you want to bump up the rates when the supply is equal with the demand.
That's a fair point.
it is, but
Yeah.
we also have to consider that our expenses are going up too. And it could just be an off year. It could be an off month. I mean, we have events, a lot of people are booking other things that don't bring in the money that a wedding does. For example, there's like a 1-year-old birthday party, which is apparently a big thing now. And my grandson had one too, and they rented a place for it. But people are doing that at the camp as well. And we can't charge thousands of dollars for that.
No, I think it's 400 or 500.
Yeah,
400.
yeah.
So we're not making that money, but that date is booked in case somebody else, even if they wanted to book a wedding, they couldn't.
But you only book those out 6 months in advance.
10 months?
10
They
months
can book up
now.
to 10 months.
10 months in advance. They
This
book
one, on
those,
this new
yeah.
sheets, 10 months, she said.
Yeah, 10 months.
They can book up to 10 months.
From,
in
for
advance
peak
that.
season, yeah. Mhm.
So then, I don't want to call them shotgun weddings, but you have one on June 21st. Now you've eliminated yourself from
Yes, but
those.
here's the flip side of that. That when somebody came and tried to book earlier, like book way in advance, we were like, no, you can't in case of wedding books. And then we got flagged for that because it was a town resident who wanted to book a non-wedding function.
Right, you're trying to find a happy medium. I
Right.
get it.
Mhm.
So,
But most of your weddings are going to be booked out 10 months in advance at least.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with renting a hall for a one-year-old birthday party 10 months in advance. My problem is you're going from 7 weddings to 2, and you want to raise the rates. So does the 2 go from
Was the,
to 1?
You have the comparison from the amount of weddings last year
Yep.
to this year?
Total? No, I only have them done by month.
So in 2014, there was 51 weddings.
Yeah.
2015, there was 45 weddings.
Yeah.
2016, there were 39 weddings. 2017, 44. 2018, 35. And so far for this year, 2019, there's 24.
24.
So,
ups and some downs.
yeah, but there's a little peak in 2017, but overall trend going down.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have the final say as to whether the rate should be raised or whether we should keep it where it is.
Well, how do we find out why the number is going down? Have we got a bad reputation? Are we getting feedback? When brides are having their wedding, are we sending out a little, review, asking them, how was everything, how did we do?
I'm okay to do that.
I'm not saying you.
Yeah.
And I'm
No,
not.
she just mean in
I'm not-
general.
How
We're not pointing fingers.
No, I
We're
want to be
not-
clear, I'm talking about the royal we, like the town, not,
How in general can we,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering,
our reviews on Wedding Wire,
Oh, great, actually, we have really good reviews. on
Okay.
it.
So we're not hearing any kind of really negative feedback that's saying, this, like, don't go to this place, this is,
How often do people say that it's too expensive?
that has never come up.
You really have to ask Lon that question. He's the one that fields those calls.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Chair, just coming from my experience, I've had some friends who grew up in the town. They want to get married up at Camp Kawani, but they say $5,000 is just too much. And they don't even bother going to look at the camp because they know it's out of their range. And we have to start thinking about who our audience is that's going to be getting married up at the camp. It's going to be,
Do you know, Matt, what the rates were in 2000, oh, you might do those.
I do.
2014 or?
Yep, in 2014, the rates went up for a Friday, Sunday to $4,000. On a Saturday, they went to $5,000. So we haven't had it,
A change in 5 years.
right.
Okay.
But before that, the rate in 2013 was $27.50 on a Friday. No, I'll take that back, $2,500 and $27.50, which actually included the ceremony.
Right.
So it was almost double. And for the first 3-4 years, it worked out.
Right.
It peaked at 51. As soon as the rates went up, it peaked. So I don't know what the numbers were for 2013, but they were probably more than 51.
Right, okay.
Since that 51, they have gone down. Now, I couldn't do the figures, but in 2014, there were 51 weddings. 2017, there's 44. That's a difference of 6 weddings. That's $30,000. Now, if you take that 51 to 24, that's double. So I think what I'm asking anyways, are you better off going back, not all the way back to 2750, but on a Saturday wedding, going to 3,500? Because 3 weddings on a Saturday is $10,000 compared to having 1 at 5. I know your costs are going up, everybody's costs are going up, but is it better to rent Needles Lodge at 3,500 3 times a month or once at 5. I mean, it's, for 2019, do you have any weddings planned for 2020 yet? It's probably a little early,
Has it on here.
Yeah, there's some here. There's like four,
but,
yeah.
I mean, it's,
I'm not gonna claim to know and have a business head, because I don't. But I'd like to do a comparison of other people weddings at places like in Kiwanis as well, and see where their numbers are, and see what they offer for services. Because I can tell you that, just driving up to the camp in the last couple of years, it's changed the look a lot and everything. I think the presentation of the camp is steadily going down, just the way it looks. And we don't offer someone to help out with the event, which is something I think people want and are willing to
There's
pay
no event
for.
coordinator on site when the actual event is taking place, other than catering person. The caterer, some caterers will have a coordinator, some won't.
well,
And-
and I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, but
Yeah.
Diane, you're kind of making my point. You're saying the camp is starting to look run down, yet you want to raise the rates. So maybe
Because to make it look better,
we should take a look at the whole situation before we say yes or no,
Right.
or change the rates.
Absolutely.
Let's
Absolutely.
do a whole analysis of the whole place. And I have one daughter that says $5,000 is too much. Another daughter doesn't care how much it would cost to get married up there. So, that's in my own house, or used to be in my own house. So maybe we do need to do that. Maybe Camp Kiwanis was a fad. At 2014, we peaked at the weddings.
Well, rustic
People,
weddings were the thing.
people
I think
wanted
rustic
that.
Weddings are still a thing.
Yeah.
The thing is, people really, they're trying to get people to know about the place, which is a whole nother conversation. We do with someone that wants to do a showcase, but we have to figure out how she's gonna do that, because she puts on the showcases, she does make money from it. Do we bring her in at no charge, of course, pending your approval, or do we charge her to come in and do the
Now,
showcase?
just to be clear what a showcase is, just for.
Showcase is, she comes in, she would come into the venue, vendors would buy a table from her, but she has clients that specifically are looking for rustic wedding venues.
And these are vendors that are all
Wedding
wedding-based
venues, yeah,
vendors.
wedding venues.
So these are all people who could potentially refer and say, I was at Camp Kiwanis,
Yeah.
it was fantastic, you should have your wedding there. Okay.
So I agree with Jim that we need to, just wait on that. I don't, me personally, I don't think dropping the rates is gonna be the answer, because expenses are going up. I don't know that, that the money is driving people away. I think there's other reasons.
Mr. Chair.
There's other factors that are driving, people away. Like I said, in my opinion, I have one daughter, and, 5,000 to me, and I'm not a rich guy by any means, doesn't seem like a lot of money.
For a wedding.
Chair.
Now,
You
hold
got
on,
it in your,
hold
you
on.
got it in your pocket,
Hold on.
cash.
So, if we dropped it to $3,500 or $4,000, I don't think there's gonna be a flock to book weddings, But I do agree, again, with Jim, we need to I don't wanna vote on this tonight.
No.
I wanna get some more information, maybe have another meeting, talk about it, so we can make an informed decision on this. Mr. Dyer?
So just the point that I was trying to articulate earlier was we have to really start thinking about the users of the camp. Who's going to get married up at the camp? For the most part, it's going to be young folks like myself. We're walking out of school. We're owing $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in debt.
Yeah.
We're living in our parents' basements. You think we're going to go out and spend $10,000 on a wedding? A one-day event to spend $10,000? I don't think so. I think that someone that would utilize Camp Kiwanis, they're going to be very stingy when it comes to their money. And, you know, to look at other wedding venues, you know, the Canoe Club over in Norwell, I believe, they charge $8,700. That includes the wait staff, the food, the rental for up to 125 people.
I think they're in
Well,
Bridgewater.
yeah, the food can't be included in that.
No, it says on their website.
Oh, there's
Yeah,
So,
I know the one in Bridgewater.
That's the
And
one I was
they're-
thinking about, yeah.
and then the barn at,
They include food for 8,700.
what's that?
They include food for 120 people.
125. That's what it says on their website.
Wow.
The barn up at the Crane Estate up in Ipswich, I know it's the North Shore, but this includes 5 hours for $4,300.
That includes the rehearsal, dinner,
That- right.
rehearsal time and everything.
Correct.
For how many
So,
people?
I didn't list what the limitation was, but it was 4,300. So I think we really need to start doing benchmarking, and this is what I'm saying with, we need to make a business plan, we really need, yep, the barn at the Crane Estate.
Right, because you're gonna have to get deeper, because they have expenses too.
Oh, yeah, without,
You know?
without a doubt, there's
So we
expenses,
got- that's
but
gotta be-
it's not gonna be
that's gotta be
$5,000 for one day.
Alright.
We have big expenses that have all come down all at once. So,
This seems like it's a much more, I mean, so you're just here, hey, can we increase the rates? But it's much more complex. Oh, and I should preface it by saying I really appreciate the work you guys have done on this. I appreciate the job you're doing. Absolutely. But it's much more complicated, right? Because it's kind of like all wrapped up in this bigger conversation of the philosophy of Camp Kawani. Is it a moneymaker? Is it, primarily for the benefit of the town of Hanson? Is it right to expect it to make a profit? You know, are we gonna be paying for it and subsidizing it? Like, it's all these different issues, so, you know.
I would like to say thank you because for as long as I've been a part of this, which hasn't been long, and I get that, but I've seen somewhat of a dichotomy here. Like, it's supposed to be recreation, that's our main focus, but we are funding ourselves, so we have to make money, which is a business aspect, and you wanna make money like a private business, but you wanna run it under a municipality system.
Right.
I mean, the whole thing just flies in the face of each other, both perspectives. So, I mean, I think it's,
You got your voice back too.
I think at some point, yeah. I think at some point we have to figure that out. What is the long range?
All right, let's move on to the Cove rates, okay?
No rates. Daily pass, $5, we're keeping that the same. The Cove single person season pass, resident $40 rate.
We've never had a single person pass before, so that's new.
And the single person pass for a non-resident would be $55. A Cove single person pass for a senior citizen, single pass would be a 10% discount off of the single person resident. Just single person rate on both, yeah. So if you're a senior citizen, you would get 10% off the resident or non-resident rate. Cove single person season pass, military proof of service, same thing, 10% off, discount off the daily pass rate. The Cove family season pass for a resident would be $90, and the Cove family season pass for non-residents would be $165. And same thing with military would be 10% off of that, those daily passes for one of the people of the family, military proof of service. Non-resident season pass with families participating in swimming lessons would be $115. Guests are welcome with a family pass, but will be required to pay an additional $5 per person. And we have boat, kayak rentals, $10 an hour. That didn't change. Swim lessons, first child would be $125, $75 for the second child, $65 for the third child, and fourth child will be free. Parent and child, $65 rate.
Now, are the children rates, do they have to be my children? This is hypothetical, because I absolutely don't intend to bring you a gaggle of children to this home. Okay, no.
Family, I'm assuming it'd be your family.
It has to be
Yeah, it has to be your
your family. It
family.
has to be somebody
So
living
you could bring
in
my
one.
kids on.
living in your house.
Okay.
How much did these rates increase from last year?
Just a few dollars.
Just if you don't
Yeah.
like to.
10.
We have lots of swim
They still
teams,
seem low, though.
65 per child.
They
They
are
still fairly
low.
yeah.
Reasonable.
And the swim lessons are a bargain at anybody's, we've done all the comparisons
Yeah.
there.
All right, so, do you guys, what do you guys think about the,
I think
The
we could
cold
vote on
rates.
this. I feel
you guys
okay
okay with the
about,
cold rates?
well, if you don't feel
should-
okay about it, then
Well,
we should
only because
wait.
if they're, I mean, this
But are you,
season's gonna be,
yeah, when
what do you
does
guys
your,
wanna do?
But the family pass has gone up $10 from 2018.
Okay.
Single person pass resident, there was no, that didn't exist. The single person passes in the last year. The non-resident family season pass has gone up, $15, from $150 to $165.
Okay.
No change on the, daily passes.
so Mr. Hickey, what are your concerns?
I was gonna ask both of you guys.
Well, I mean, I was more concerned, you know, about the weddings.
Yeah.
And the
we had a lot more
rentals
work
down
on
there,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
okay. I got a 2% raise. Mike, when we do the contracts, they become public record, am I right?
Oh, yeah, the public record as of now.
So, anybody that is that works in town hall, most likely got a 2.5% raise.
2%.
2%, okay. The Cove rates went up 8. So if you live in Hanson, you work at town hall, you got a 2% raise. But just the Cove for a family pass and you have 3 kids swimming, it went up 8%. So you're paying $355 instead of what it was at the old.
No. Family season pass is $80.
But I'm doing swimming
It's
lessons.
Yeah, you're adding swimming lessons.
Right, but each thing went up roughly 8%.
Did we cover our costs last year for running the Cove?
No.
But, Mr. Chair,
I
In
was told-
2015, it did.
Okay.
I was told that the understanding is that the Cove, no one ever cared if it made money. That it was given as recreation to the town and we basically sucked that up.
Okay.
For lack of a better
I've
phrase.
never seen the Cove make any money since I've been up here,
Right.
you know?
Mr. Chair, from what I understand of the history of Camp Kawani, it was the lodge that was gonna hopefully bring in
Sustain.
money and sustain the operations at the Cove, is from what I understand what the architects of Camp Kawani decided, which was, you know, it would help offset the cost so people could recreate up at the Cove and it was accessible to everyone.
How much did minimum wage go up?
Well, again, I'm not sure that, to me, that what people's salary is and particularly germane to this. I think to me, it gets back to the philosophical discussion of, is this a service that's supposed to be provided for recreation for the benefit of the town of Hanson? And to me, at a bare minimum, Camp Kawani should be affordable for swim lessons. Bare minimum, like, forget about the Camp Kawani, you know, the Needles Lodge and all that other business, but bare minimum, I want people to be able to afford to use the Cove and take swim lessons with their kids.
I think these are affordable.
Last year,
Yeah, I agree.
$10 per
Yeah.
person.
last year, if we didn't spend so much money on the problems, we had the tight tank pumped 3 times. The bathroom needed to be fixed twice. We had to pay plumbers to do it. If we didn't have all the expenses that we had,
Yeah,
I think the Cove probably would have made money.
okay.
But the problems with the tight tank are not going to go away. It was improperly installed to begin with, and it needs to be moved, but that's a large expense, so I don't know if it'll happen. Minimum wage went up. We also, you know, at minimum, we have to have 2 lifeguards on at all times per order of just the fire
Staffing
department.
requirements, yeah.
That's the way it goes. And minimum wage went up, so we'll be paying them more.
Okay.
I'm fine without raising any
Yeah, right,
rates.
exactly,
I don't
yeah.
have a problem
It's just
with never
suggestions, yeah.
raising
But
rates.
you want enough money to be able to do
No,
what you need to do.
I understand where you guys are coming from. You're saying like, look, we feel like we've got some responsibility to see if we could make a little bit more money for the camp because we keep hearing that it's bleeding and we just feel like a responsibility. I get where you guys are coming from.
Right,
Yeah.
and I mean, you know, it looks, I got the same sheet that probably many of you got, listing what the camp made from 1990 until current day. And there was a little bit of a pattern, made money, lost money, made money, lost money, made from 1990 on. I think made money, lost money stopped, and then it was like every other year made and lost, made and lost. It wasn't a very detailed report, it was just those numbers. But I also looked, I didn't get to look at what kind of repairs were done. I know permits weren't pulled for any work done at the camp since 2015. And there were very few permits for any work that was done. So I don't know what was repaired or what was not repaired. I know that we have had some very large expenses that we really need to contend with if you're going to keep the camp going. Just this week, the electrician was at the camp and said that he was installing something else. And we said, can you look at the light in the freezer? He said this was one flick away from sending this whole place up in flames.
Okay, that's fantastic.
And it's not been tube wiring in there.
Okay, wow, okay.
Okay, so I mean, you
All right,
have
so we're
some-
getting off track a little bit.
I know, but you have some big issues.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, so what do you guys wanna do here with these rates? I mean, I think it's a slight increase, they've obviously got costs they've gotta cover. I think these are reasonable even for a family, I mean, I don't think this is an exorbitant amount of money
Swim
to.
lessons have gone up $10 per child. So
But
for
that's
what-
still
what-
a
what-
bargain
Right.
compared to any other place offering swim lessons.
So that's what I was gonna ask you. I assume that you checked with the YMCA, et cetera, et cetera.
But because our swim lessons are every day and they go for 6 weeks, every day for 6 weeks, and for that price.
That is.
You know, if they were making money down there, then that would be a different thing, but, I mean, just to get them back to zero, I don't have a problem with
Mr.
it.
Dyer has
Yes.
something.
Mr. Chair, maybe one solution to, the tension over the cove rates would be the DCR, the Department of Conservation and Recreation. They put a day pass in our library, at the Hanson Town Library. The Hanson Town Library. You can take that pass and go to any state park. You waive that fee. I think that we should have a similar program here in the town of Hanson as well, where a family can go in and borrow the pass for the day if they choose so.
I love it.
You know what I mean? And then that way, it just makes it really accessible,
one
kind
pass,
of takes that, just one or two, for us, it would be
Maybe
one,
two.
one or two
Just in
passes.
case somebody doesn't return it. whatever.
So, but I think that might be,
Actually, what they do now is they have a pass for every day
right.
of the year.
I love it.
So I think that might be a really good way to kind of make it more equitable for the town, and take that sting away of like, okay, yeah, the rates went up.
So if somebody's really up against it, they can go to the library and get that pass.
So how would that work? So it'd be one pass, so what if you had 20 families that wanted to go the same day?
You sign up, it's a
Yeah,
rotating
it's just
basis.
like, it's just like
Right,
any other
okay.
pass, it's just like, oh, I want to go to the science museum, so,
Right,
by the way, yeah,
Yeah, that I'm fine with.
yeah, I think that might be a good way to kind
But I
of
still think
take the sting out of it.
these are reasonable. I mean, they got lifeguards, they got costs to cover. I mean, I think these are reasonable. I'm fine with that.
We're also competing for lifeguards because not as many kids are getting a lifeguard certification anymore because they're all in camps and
Yeah.
prepping for college.
So it's tougher to get
and
lifeguards
everything.
now?
And it's an expensive course. It's something like $400, $500 to get, and you're only using it for the summer. So a lot of them don't see the value in that. So we're competing with Whitman and Pembroke and Bridgewater and Hanover at their Wise for lifeguards. And we really need the lifeguards. Last year was a very hot summer.
And that's why we had some holiday coverage issues and that
Yes,
type
we
of thing.
did.
Yeah, yeah.
And-
Jim, do you feel better if we implement Matt's proposal with adopted?
Yeah, I
use,
like
or-
I'll
Matt's
do that.
proposal.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so can we move to the
yeah,
motion?
so
And
could-
Also too,
Good.
I mean, kind of talking about the holiday coverage, if we're gonna, up the rates and we're hoping to get better candidates and stuff, I think we should be open for 4th of July this year as well. You know what I mean? Because that's a day that everyone wants to go to the beach, you know, and I understand it's a
I think
day
that's
off.
something you're gonna have to bring to the commission.
But yeah, I
when you meet
think,
again.
right, but I think that's one thing that we need to address as
I
well.
would consider that, but I would also like the board to consider what a reasonable time if no one is showing up
Right.
to close this, because
Yeah.
that's money out of the pocket that's unnecessary.
You could do short hours, I think,
I think
but just be open.
I think the
Yeah.
commission can discuss that.
Yeah.
And then Matt can give us a
Yeah, you
feedback.
can
Sure.
liaise on that one.
Okay, all right, so,
You have to pay more for like that on a holiday, like July.
you gotta pay them time and a half.
All right, I move that we accept the new cove rates as written here for 2019 with the stipulation that we make some kind of a, you know, an arrangement with the library to have 2 passes available for free on a sign-up basis, similar to what we've got for the museum passes and things like that.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any more questions?
Actually, do you want to extend that pass to Whitman or to surrounding town?
Nope. Just Hanson resident at the Hanson Library.
Okay, all those in favor? 5-0.
Nope.
No, for
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. For your abstain?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay.
I'll abstain. 2
All
of my
right.
daughters were lifeguards.
Yeah,
They both worked 4th of July.
that's fine.
It's never closed. So I'll abstain from all the cove stuff.
Well, they said they're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, I'll be more than happy to give my experience.
Okay, thank you. So
Don't have
we'll,
any daughters,
we'll
do
bring
you?
up the discussion with the camp, the lodge, where
Yeah, we'll
it
do
looks
some
like,
more research.
do some more research and then come back to us and we'll have that discussion.
Thank you for all the
Okay.
work that you guys do.
I hope you feel better, Diane.
Thanks.
I'm sorry your kids are glad that you have no voice.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Okay, no trustees. Yeah.
Do we have Alex?
Mary?
We have Alex.
We have Alex.
Alex is here.
And they're right outside.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
You wanna grab them?
Oh,
Okay, item 1.
Laura, Jim's.
what? Well, I was like,
I couldn't think of the rest.
Jim, those were exactly my thoughts, though, at the beginning of the discussion. The first thing I thought of was, oh, shotgun weddings.
I thought he meant
Exactly what came
someone's
through
gonna
my
go right down and go get married right away.
I just was like,
called a shotgun wedding.
I just said, did he really say that out loud? Like, having an out-of-body experience over here.
Politically correct term.
Do we own
So
land
this is,
right
this is
on
a
one
joint
Quonset
appointment
Pond?
by both committees to
Oh,
appoint.
okay, I was
so-
wondering
okay.
why they were waiting.
So you have to vote, the board has to vote.
So we have to vote first, so we need,
Well, you know, somebody needs to make a motion or make a nomination to
It's a piece
appoint,
of
and
land
then
that you could put a bunch
selectmen
of,
vote, and then the
like,
library votes.
10 or 15
okay, so is the library here as well?
graders on in a circle and take a photo of them.
Oh, okay, all right, we're gonna move on, we'll come back to them.
For the 2020.
Yeah, let's go down to, well, you wanna do the review, let's do, review the proposed articles,
That may take a little longer.
Yeah, we can probably go through it quick.
Okay.
which is item 4, unless you guys have something better.
We could probably go through that quick. What we put in front of you in your packets is what we, Mary and I, and some others here in Town Hall, believe that the Board of Selectmen wish to consider to put on the annual town meeting warrant. What I'd ask for you to do is take a look at it. Some of them are fairly self-explanatory, and to the degree that we were able to, at this point, put together some verbiage for the actual, what we would have, at this point, believe the actual wording would be. That's, and then it's not all there, but some of them are there, behind the title page of possible articles. So it's not something we have to decide on tonight. However, I would like to ask, Mary and I would like to ask, as I think we have a couple of times, and some people have gotten back to us, is there anything else that any member of the board would like to have considered to be put on the warrant? Again, we don't need to have verbiage at this moment. We just need to get an idea of any topics that we
And they would
perhaps.
need to be back by next Friday, right, Mary?
Yeah, if I can have them before Friday, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay,
'Cause
what's that date?
Friday was- If I get them the 7th, that's Thursday,
Okay,
then I can get
That's
the
good.
agenda ready, and I'll be putting everybody else's articles together to
Okay.
put them in your,
so
I mean-
if you guys have anything.
And
you gotta
again,
get
we
back to
don't,
Mary by the 7th.
we don't need to have the verbiage even done by then. We just need to really know
the
what
issue is.
what the issue is.
You're just gonna do like a placeholder?
Exactly, and then we can work on the language, and we just need to have the language
Yeah,
tied
and then
up.
once we get them all, we can talk
When you
about
si-
them and stuff.
Yeah, and we just need to have the language all sewn up in time for you to actually sign the warrant, which is still a ways away.
Yeah, Mike, we've got that potential McQuon, we don't know how that's all gonna wind up, so I don't know if you wanna do a placeholder for that. That's the only one I really, and then we decided on the, I'm pointing to you, but because the plastic bag thing, that we really have a little more footwork to do on that, right, before we introduce that.
I think we're all looking toward Matt. I'm going with Matt's recommendation on this one.
Yeah, I think that people are becoming more aware about the plastic bags
Yeah.
and the potential harm that it has against the environment. So I think we should go forward with that. My question would be, would we also be interested in supporting the idea of a polystyrene ban, which is the styrofoam
Yes.
cups at Dunkin' Donuts?
Yes, so are you saying for this town warrant to put both of those on?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe just, a lot of towns, what they've been doing is they've just been doing a joint warrant on both polystyrene and plastic bags.
What's the time frame that you would have
That's
to
what I
give a
was-
So,
business?
Yeah.
well,
that you get to be-
right, and I think to be fair, you know, I mean, you can't just say, all right, overnight, you can't do this.
Right.
You know, you have to have that transition period, and I also would want to do some sort of forums, just to hear
Yes.
feedback from townspeople and the
I don't know if you have
businesses.
enough time to do it for May, but.
I think we might.
People
I
are
think we
passionate
might.
about this.
Yeah, I might be able to whip something up in the next couple of weeks.
Well,
but I think we can.
and to that point, you know, I can't remember if it were you or Wes who originally brought this forward months ago. You know, we've gone back and we've found examples of how other towns not only worded the bylaw, but how they've implemented it. And to your point, and I think Laura may have just brought it up, there is a procedure by which, you know, after the bylaw passes, you know, major, and I'll just throw out something like a Stop and, like Shaw's, they've got 6 months to implement. The smaller places have longer to implement because it's more of a hardship to them.
Yeah.
So, and again, we can work through all of that, both the wording, which I think we won't have too much problems with the actual wording for a town meeting, but there's probably a little bit more work on looking at what other towns did in terms of implementation, so.
I think we should go for putting the
if you can do it,
placeholder.
go
If you
for
can
it.
pull off the forum and the
Yeah.
informational thing, and we can get the right kind of feedback, then we'll
In
keep
the
it.
6 months, I like to be
Yeah.
fair to the businesses.
Oh, yeah,
that-
I was
Yeah.
thinking
you
6
know.
months to a year, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
just to be
No, then
fair.
that's fine then. That was my only concern with it. So if they didn't have styrofoam, what would they put your large coffee in?
The paper cup,
The paper
Starbucks
cup?
does it.
And it may
Mary
become
Lou's does it.
statewide anyway, so it's,
Interesting.
yeah. Yeah.
You better watch how they pour your coffee tomorrow, man.
Right.
Okay, any more questions?
No.
So like I said, we'll talk about the warrant stuff at the next meeting.
But again, if anything else comes to mind between that time, you know, let Mary or I know so that we
Yep.
can not only put it on the list for discussion, but, you know, we can start looking at how we actually would word something like that, so.
Okay. All right, so Pamela Fager and Alexander Stewart. You guys both here?
Yep. Both
How are you?
present. Yep.
Okay, so we have,
Hi, Jen Hickey, how are you?
so we have their application for appointment for the Library Board of Trustees. This would be a joint appointment by the Board of Selectmen and the Library Board of Trustees. So unless anybody has any questions, I'm looking for a motion to appoint both of
well,
you.
they both can't be appointed, it's only one position.
Oh,
So you
okay.
ask them some questions or whatever, but it's in, one of the questions is, it's a position that has to be, you have to run for it. This
Oh,
appointment,
really?
this appointment will only go through the 18th of May.
Oh, so this is an elected position and this is gonna fill the elected spot?
Correct. So we're appointing them until then, but after that, they would have to actually run for the position.
Okay.
They'll have to take out nomination papers if they want it.
And what's the term, Mary?
You guys are 3 years. It's a 3-year term.
It's a
But
three-year
this term ends.
Yeah, when's this term expire?
At this election.
May 18th. This is only to fill,
Okay.
and then they have to run for the.
So you guys would have to pull papers
So have
pretty
either of you
quick.
pulled papers for this position?
Well, we're just temporarily filling the position until the election comes.
Oh, no, I know, but so I'm just curious if they're pulling papers to
Do you
run
have
for
interest
the,
beyond the election,
that's
or-
exactly, yeah.
or no?
And
Or-
in
or
other
you're
words,
just
Pam,
temporary?
Alex.
So what Mary's saying is you guys are gonna fill an existing term that expires on May 18th. So if you wanna continue beyond May 19th, then you have to pull papers and go on the ballot May 18th and be elected.
Right.
Is
So-
that what your intentions are? Yes. Okay, all right.
Well, it's these guys over here.
Yeah,
No, she's
Oh,
already,
you're not.
she's already on there, I was wondering.
Sorry.
Alex
sorry.
and Pam. Alex and Pam.
Is that what you guys' intentions are? Yes. Yes, okay, all right. So I believe you have, if you pull papers, you have to get them back by, it was April 3rd, but it's now March 29th, I wanna say?
Yes.
5th, March 25th.
Well, don't you guys listen to my
Yeah, March
announcements?
29th. So you can pull papers at the clerk's office, so we'll appoint you guys, in the library, we'll appoint you guys,
Well, one of them. You can
one
only
of them.
appoint one of them.
They can
Right.
pull on the 25th.
one of
Have
them,
to be
okay,
back
so
by the
you guys have
29th.
to figure out which
Right.
one.
Well-
And then,
They have to pull them by the 25th.
so how many
That's what
positions
I said.
will be available for the,
One.
That's one.
One. It
One.
was, this was the only one that was up this
Only
year.
one,
It wasn't
okay.
two.
No, Diana's is up as well.
Diane's, okay. So,
But you're,
right.
you pulled papers,
Okay.
you're planning, we're not
Correct, but I
ousting you.
I just want to point out that there are two positions open.
okay,
Come election day. The people whoever's appointed now will only go till then. They can pull the papers,
Okay.
both of them. But you don't do one, it's not for one particular slot. So there's two positions
Right.
open.
We'll be voting
Three
for
people
two
are
of
running,
those
people
three
think will run
people
for it.
come election day.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
okay. So they're,
Diane, you're up for reelection,
yes,
and you've already pulled papers.
yes. Oh, but she's going.
Oh, you haven't pulled papers
She's
either?
going-
but your intentions are.
Okay,
right.
but that's your intentions?
Yes.
Okay.
You're already on there right now, so we're not voting on you right now.
But no one has pulled papers yet for May 18th
Right.
election?
Yep.
correct.
Okay.
But you still have time.
Sure.
All
Okay,
right,
so
so,
what we're doing
Like I
tonight
said.
is just doing the appointment to the end,
For
to
the-
May 18th.
For the remainder of that
But
term,
only one of them.
for one.
For one of them, right, so you can have them introduce themselves, give their background,
That sounds
and
great.
then somebody can make a motion
Yeah.
or
Okay,
nomination.
would you guys like to, tell you what, why don't each one of yous come up and we'll give you 2 minutes and tell us about yourself, and then we're gonna pick one of yous. Alex, you can go first.
Linda,
Yes,
Yes, everybody can ask questions, you guys are gonna
Sure.
be voting as well.
Yeah.
sure.
I was actually, Mary, while Pamela walks up there, I was hoping that the library trustees would vote before the selectmen.
I agree.
Sure, sure, it doesn't- it
100% I
doesn't- yeah.
agree.
Yeah, that's fine.
Great idea, Jim. Okay, go ahead.
My name is Pamela Fager. I grew up in Hanson. My father is Russell Laporte. He owned the hardware store. And my mother's on the Conservation Commission, Sharon Laporte. And I've always been involved with the library. I've been on the foundation for over a year. Both of my kids have volunteered at the library, which was something different. A lot of the younger kids, middle school kids, haven't had realized that there was an opportunity for them to do that. I was also on the planning committee for the expansion of the library, and we worked on getting the feedback from the town, as well as working with Ruth Cowell, the advisor. So it really gave me even more. I want to help the library as much as I can. It's helped me personally growing up in town, and when I lived briefly in Whitman and moved back into town, I was able to get more reconnected to it and have brought my kids up in it. And by being able to volunteer as much as I have and working intimately with them and with the planning committee, I just want to be able to help as much as I can. And now I'm able, through the planning committee and working with the foundation, I've been able to see a lot more of how it brings the community together And for me personally, I'd like to see a little bit more of the middle school involvement. My daughter's starting there this year. And so I've actually come up with a few ideas of a few different programs that haven't been discussed before, for bringing the kids in more to involve with the library and make it more of the community place that it is, because now places of worship and different clubs, there's a lot of people that are looking for a joint community space where they can come together, interact, learn things, as well as, you know, take out books and things like that. So especially after being on the planning committee, I'm really excited about being with new library director and the new horizon that's being shown to the library, and I'd really like to be a part of that.
That's an excellent job, Pam.
Thank you.
So my first question is, do you currently have any overdue library books?
I brought it back tonight.
Okay, good.
Only 35 cents.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? If not, then.
What about the library?
Ladies would be happy to ask any questions you'd like.
Oh, okay. Call the meeting to order.
No, we should
Oh, okay,
yeah.
yes. Calling the meeting of the Board of Library Trustees, February 26, 2019, to order at 8:21 p.m.
Go ahead.
Okay. Pam, what do you think the role of the library trustee is?
I think it's one that's even more deeply involved with the community than the volunteers, because you're coming up with the programs as well as the day-to-day activities at the library and the staff. I think it's also you're going out and you're looking at other libraries, putting yourself out there, spreading the word about the library, looking at the different programs, and sort of a, kind of hard to say, but kind of hard to say, but putting yourself out there and trying to draw in new people, new ideas, and learning from more experienced people that have already been there, coming up with new ideas, finding your own voice to express these different ideas, and watching and helping in some small way the library to develop into the future.
Could you name one of your top 3 skills that you would bring to the trustees and why?
I would say probably my connection to the town background. Like I said, born and raised, and also worked in town, and know quite a few people and different businesses, and hoping to be able to draw them in more to be involved.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Oh,
I just
good.
want to know how you feel about supporting the library expansion within the community, building the community support behind such an endeavor.
Well, you have to look at it carefully. It was interesting to go through all the feedback that we had gotten, and from the different demographics of more of a more, I hate to say aging, we'll say more experienced population is greater in the town, and less of the younger. But my main thing, I think it needs to be, is you need to bring the two together. Like, I want to be able to bring in the younger kids to create a foundation for them to see that library is a part of their life, even as they grow up and move on. And I want the older or more experienced residents that come there as a community to be able to interact with them through different programs. So it kind of, I look at it as uniting the two age groups, multi-generational, for the common goal of the library.
But do you support the expansion?
I do.
Yeah, okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Alex? Come on.
Mr. Clemens, do you support your niece?
In every way.
We're a friendly audience,
We are,
Alex,
Stu,
don't
and you
worry.
know it.
Yep.
My name is Alexander Stewart. I have lived in Hanson for most of my life. My father, Jim, has lived, both my parents have lived in here for several years, my mother having gone to public school. The library has played a pivotal role in my life, and I've spent the better part of my adolescence there. It's given me a lot of helpful resources in schoolwork and extracurriculars. As I've been coming back, as I've finished up my time up in at Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts, I've been thinking back of ways of how I want to give back to the community, and I figured why not go to one of the places that has been a sense of a very familiar area for me as I've been reacquainting myself with the community. During my time up in the Berkshires for college, I have been involved in several leadership positions, such as secretary and vice president of several clubs up on campus, and I feel like the skills I've acquired through there would be beneficial in helping with the library board of trustees and the decision making for the Hanson Public Library.
Excellent.
Do you want to ask the
Ladies,
same questions?
Do you want to ask it? Go ahead.
I'll ask you the same question. What is one of your top 3 skills and why would it be advantageous to the trustees and the library?
The 3 skills I would say are like attention to detail oriented and planning events and programs, and organizational to make sure each point is executed well, and sort of like networking and connecting with the community and also other libraries within the area.
Yes. What do you think the role of the library trustee is?
I feel like the library's trustee is somewhat of a more managerial position than your average volunteer. Like, it's very much like you're working not only, as Pamela has said, and I hate for it to seem like I'm mirroring what she said, but the role of the man, like, it seems very much like you're very much in one part of a managerial position with that.
There's one more.
Also ask my question, how you feel about supporting the library expansion within the community?
I do support the library expansion, and as I've been in my time in the library, it's been something of a connection between several generations, from much older and experienced ones to younger generations, including my own.
Good, excellent. Any more questions? All right, Alex, thank you. So we're going to go with Vice Chairman Hickey's idea where you guys are going to vote first because you guys got a tough decision. You got 2 great candidates there. Thank you guys both. And we're probably more than likely going to follow your lead.
I mean, after all, they are going to be serving with you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would like to say it is a very difficult decision.
Yes.
2 excellent candidates.
They're both great.
Yeah.
I'm sad I have to make a choice. They both will have another opportunity, I guess, in the town election.
Exactly.
Good
So they can
news.
vote, you can vote both papers regardless of what happens here
Right.
tonight.
Please know it isn't easy.
So do somebody make a
So
motion?
Yes.
Someone has
Yep.
to make a motion, yes, for a candidate.
I make a motion to vote for Pam Baker as the temporary trustee until the election, May 18th, 2019.
I'll second it. And I would
So now we need a vote.
offer some
Yep. Motion's made and
discussion.
seconded.
We can have some discussion, right?
You guys can discuss if you like.
And as I said, it's a very difficult decision, but I think Pam's volunteer experience in the library recently on the planning committee has tipped the scales a little for me.
Okay.
I would agree with that. She's very involved in the foundation as well and supports us at many events. Anyone else would like to make any
Make a
comments? All in favor?
Looks like you get 4-0. Okay. So I'll move for a motion. If someone wants to make a motion.
I made one already tonight.
Laura?
I don't feel comfortable making the motion. I don't know either one of these people, and I feel so conflicted. I feel, I support their decision. And I can see that Pam is excellent and engaged. And yet I like the idea of Alex getting out there.
Oh, no,
and,
absolutely.
So Alex,
How about I make the motion, okay, since I've taught them and I know them. Sure.
But Alex, I am gonna make the motion to appoint Pam, but I really am doing this and encouraging you, if not this opportunity, seek other opportunities. We have lots of volunteer opportunities. We see you here every week. I know you're interested, and I want to see you be engaged and find the right opportunity.
And
So-
we have a lot of open seats on a lot of different committees and commissions, so don't
Don't
give
let it
up.
get you down,
can-
Alex.
Like Laura said, you're
Yeah.
here all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Regardless, I look at everything when there are multiple opportunities. This was one of the first I saw it. And regardless, I'm happy to help out help the community in any way I can.
That's
shape, or
awesome.
form I
We
can.
really appreciate
We
that.
hate to turn volunteers down.
Absolutely.
Please don't leave us, Alex.
Of
We
course
need
not.
you for something else.
Right on page 3, Matt read the announcements
Yes.
before. There is definitely opportunities out there to volunteer.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so I make a motion that we appoint Pam.
Okay.
I'll second it.
That's for a term to expire on May 18, 2019. Any more questions? All those in favor? 5-0.
No, 4.
I'm sorry. 401, you abstaining?
No,
Or you just, or you going 4-1?
4-1.
Okay. 4-1, Mary. Okay, thank you both. Thank you guys very much, and thank you ladies for coming tonight.
Thank you. See you, Hick.
Enjoy your evening.
Bye, Jen.
Okay, so we did that. So next we got requests, Green Hanson, Green Cleanup event. It's April 27th, 2019 this year.
Do you know what the hours are?
Looking for
Not yet,
a
probably
motion,
eight.
yeah, we don't have any hours.
Probably 8 to 12.
8 to 12? Okay.
So what Green Hanson is looking for is approval from the Board of Selectmen to
Use the ground.
use the town green, to be able to drop off a dumpster a couple of
Yep.
days before,
Like we do
hopefully
every
be
year.
picked up, just like
The
we do every
usual,
year. And hope that we can borrow picnic tables or something from Camp Kawani, like we have in the past.
You want to make a motion?
I'm going to abstain, just seeing how I'm kind of involved with the cleanup this year.
I move to approve the Green Hanson request to use the Town Hall Green April 27th from 8 to 12 or thereabouts.
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded by Mr. Hickey. All those in favor? So we got 401. Okay, next we have School Repair Committee, Board of Selectmen Rep, Jim Hickey, resignation. So looking for a motion to accept Mr. Hickey's resignation.
So moved with
School-
regret.
Repair Committee.
Do you need a letter?
Just because
Yes,
we
Mary,
have
will you
to.
do the,
Do you need a
will
letter?
do the letter for him?
Okay.
Can you at least sign the letter?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did a verbal.
So the motion's made, and did I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Dyer. All those in favor?
Thank you.
4-0-1.
Are we all abstaining? Okay, should I
We should,
abstain?
yeah, we should just said no and just made him stay.
No.
Okay, so next we are gonna appoint Mr. Bloss to the School Repair Committee,
So moved.
Second.
term to expire
regret?
6/30,
No, we're not doing it with regret.
2020.
We're doing it with joy in our
Motion's made
hearts.
and seconded. All those in favor? 5-0. Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
I just wanted to make this official. I know we talked about it at the last meeting, but we didn't really make it official, so.
Yeah, no, that's,
Yeah, no, that was a good,
There's-
it was-
Yep.
and I'm sure they're sorry to see you
it
go.
was an official
okay?
handing off
yeah.
of the baton, passing of the baton. Yes.
Okay, old business, so now we've got review town administrator's goals. So Mary is kind enough to put something in our packets and also on the iPad. So I think what we're gonna do, and you guys can jump in at any time, we're gonna take Mike's goals from, I don't know if, did you guys get a chance to look at it?
Mhm.
We take the goals that we had before and then just update them or add to, you know, whatever we need to.
So what we did is, there's 2 pages. One is more objective, and the second page is more subjective. So I wanted to split those up, and basically what I did as far as the subjective ones go, I culled those out of the reviews. As the board is aware, I had reached out to see if there was anything you wanted to add, anything in particular. So whatever I've got, I also added that on. So if the board is so inclined, you know, I'm more than happy to move forward on everything that you see in front of you. Again, if there's anything you want to add, please let me know. I don't necessarily see this as a drop dead. This is the only opportunity that you'll have to ask me to do something or sign something. So even if by the next meeting you think of something you want to add on, I'll just add it on. I see this more as a living document. But what you see on the first page, we did identify some of the things that were accomplished over the course of the last year or so from previous goals and objectives. Again, these are the more objective ones. And then you see at the bottom, some of these are carryovers. So obviously, some things take longer to do than others. I think we've made pretty good progress on pretty much everything that we discussed or previous boards may have discussed. And I've added on some new things. So you can take a look at that. Again, if there's something else you want to add on, let me know. And like I said, I don't necessarily, if the board can do at its pleasure what it wishes to do, but I don't feel that I need you to vote any of this. I'm happy to go forward as you see. And then again, the other ones on the second page, again, they're more subjective, and it's really just going to be more reflective of, you know, how you see myself on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. Try to comport with some of the things I think you wanted to see me, you know, push forward.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just, since Mike and I have not really gotten to sit down yet, I mean, we've had all kinds of issues between the two of us that have, but I would like to, before we do anything official, make any move on this, I still want to spend time with Mike. We have a couple people in town hall that we want to, you know, work with and talk to and make sure, because, well, I mean, I think this is fine,
I did do that.
and it's not, but I still, what we have here, I would think we would still have a difficult time evaluating specifically next November. So I just want, as a teacher,
Right.
I want to have, like, I'm looking for
Deliverables. Yep.
I'm saying 4 or 5, just 4 or 5 specific goals that we all can that is easy.
Yep.
Easy.
No, I'm fine with that.
To judge. So I mean, we will. Mike and I
This is gonna be
keep.
work in progress.
So I mean, Mike and I mean, we haven't started the process, and we will get together. But I'd like to deliver, just, you know.
Yeah.
I just keep
No, I'm
thinking
fine
of
with that.
my administration over the years with my goals and stuff, and how much easier it was at the end, when at the end of the evaluative process, to say yes.
Right. And the other thing too is at some point, work on that actual evaluation.
Yeah, well, this, to me, this will
Just-
become the evaluation.
Because that is.
No, but the rubric that we used was
Yeah.
just like
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
just
You kept getting
terrible.
asked the same question. So if somebody
So
had
you
a
need to change
deficiency,
that.
you're saying it 7 times.
Right.
You know, it's like, gee, I feel like I already
And I
said
know
this.
that's gonna take a little bit longer, but.
Right, so I mean, but we are working on it, and I mean, we'll be using this list, basically,
Is
but
everybody
I'd still
fine with
like
that? You
to.
guys fine with that?
I like all of that. May I also say, I know we're giving Mike feedback, you know, on a continuous basis, but I really don't like the idea of waiting a whole year to be telling him, hey, you didn't accomplish those goals that we set out for you last year. Can we plan on touching base on a quarterly basis?
That's
and-
fine.
And just refreshing and saying how you're doing, so that there's no surprises at the end of the year and.
No,
No,
he's, Mr. McHugh has expressed since his evaluation, his willingness to work with the board, you know, regardless, because
Okay.
in his contract, it says it's just once a year, and he said,
Right.
forget that, I'll do
Yeah.
whatever You know, so if we do that and we meet and we discuss it every 3 or 4 months, when it comes November for evaluation time, it's gonna be easy.
It's done.
Because we're
Right.
gonna be
Yeah.
working through it throughout the year and working
Yes.
with them and,
Yeah.
you know, so, yeah, no, so he's fine with that. I don't mean to speak for you, Mike. but
Oh, you,
just,
nope, you took the
conversations.
words out of my mouth. I'm fine with that, Mr. Chairman.
Good, okay, excellent, thank you. So next, we have a tax title. So see, now I just figured out why you're here.
Yeah.
The Conservation Department, Conservation is requesting that we remove these 5 parcels from the auction list. Ocean Ave, Lot 33, Lot 35, Ocean Ave, Lot 39, Santos Court, Lot 2, Elm Street, and Lot 21D. So what we've done in the past is any tax title property, conservation is usually gets like first dibs, so they're requesting that.
These high-interest properties.
Yeah.
I assume that they're contiguous to or important in the overall conservation plan.
Right, as our written documents indicates, we don't take the question lightly.
No.
If a parcel is adjacent to or virtually adjacent to existing property that has environmental value, then virtually every environmental measure is improved if the parcel is slightly larger. We also look at places where you have wetlands or water courses that, particularly where they cross under a street or something, places that in the past have been overbuilt. And we look at the Wetlands Protection Act, the Rivers Protection Act, we look at stormwater management needs, we look at the parcel itself, whether it has any frontage, whether it honestly might be better off in the hands of a homeowner who lives next door or something like that, or whether its functionality and value to the community is more as open space, as water resource, as habitat. And we think of our open space plan as being largely built around our watersheds. We have a number of streams and rivers that either go to or from lakes and ponds and things. And we look at that from the 5,000-foot view. And that's what we did when we looked at this here. A lot of parcels, we think absolutely go ahead and sell them. But some we think have special qualities, or if not protected, would create special problems. And we wish to head that off.
And the total value of these is approximately 180 or so?
I don't know what the
So I
value.
think it's the
assessed
potential,
value may not be similar to the
assessed
environmental
value, yep. I support this. I think it's a unique opportunity every time we have property that comes, before us in this manner, to have the conservation be able to look at it without us actually having to go out and purchase land, I think is a great opportunity. And we are, surrounded by wetlands, which we've got an obligation to protect. And I support the work that the Conservation Commission does, and I think it's important.
Sounds like he's done his due diligence on all these properties.
I have one other comment. There might be one parcel, I think it's on Bowen Drive, where I have heard, not directly, but secondhand, that Highway is interested in being able to improve the stormwater management at that location. Just by holding it, not being auctioned off, doesn't necessarily mean it has to be conservation.
Right.
Something like that, we'd be more than happy if conservation talked to the drainage interests in the town, the stormwater management interests of the highway, and do whatever the right thing is to support that.
And to that end, Mr. Chairman and the rest of the board, if the board is so inclined to pass over these particular properties, I would simply, at this point, vote to withdraw them. And as Phil has mentioned, going forward, if there is a consensus, and Phil and I have started a conversation of actually conveying some, if not all, these properties to the oversight of conservation, we'll come back on that. As he's alluding to, there's one, at least one that we're aware of, that if you were to convey it to conservation, it would make it difficult going forward if there were some things that the highway wanted to do to improve drainage, and I'm going to talk about that other thing too. But I also want to
deal with the conveyance portion of it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
We just want to take them off of this.
So right now, tonight, we're moving to remove these, if we move forward, from the auction.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any more questions? All those in favor? 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, while we're on this subject, just to bring a quick update. This will leave, and I think it's still very appropriate for us to move forward on this, is this still leaves 10 properties for us to go forward with at the next auction. We've already started, obviously, the background in looking into getting the next auction up and running. But what I wanted to mention is, in addition to these, we will be also trying to, or representing the 2 parcels that didn't sell at the last auction. And I'm also looking into the possibility of holding a separate auction that same day with the auctioneer, and perhaps taking a stab at auctioning off the Liberty Street property that we didn't really get a lot of traction on. So trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Again, it would actually technically have to be 2 separate auctions. Because these are tax title takings as opposed and land below value as opposed to a piece of town property. It's a different procedure. But if there's a way that we can actually kill 2 birds with 1 stone, that's what I'm going to try to do.
So Mike, on that Liberty Street, so if we had 2 separate auctions, and let's say the same offers came in, if it's an auction, would we have to sell to the lowest bidder?
No, because, case in point, Mr. Chairman, is at the last auction that we had several weeks or so ago, there was 1, if not 2 bids that.
Okay, so that was an auction, the last one.
Yep, and we said, no, that was not a.
I just want to make sure that we don't lose our ability to do that.
No, we're never locked in. We always have the option.
They were well under
Yes, exactly.
$130,000
Yes.
value.
And will we go back out on that,
You notice how I slid
on
that?
that lot? Will we go back out and solicit bids again, or?
Well, as I'm saying, I'd like to actually hold an auction on it and
Okay.
see if we get any traction and get a good bid at that point. And if not, again, as the chairman said, if we don't get a bid that we feel is appropriate for that particular piece of property, we just won't agree to it. And then the notion had been, because I'm not 100% sure I can do this, I'm looking into it, but the notion has always been, regardless, that we'll go back out and if we don't sell it in this particular way, we'll look to probably put it back out in the fall.
Okay.
So one way or the other, I continue to try to aggressively move this piece of property. But again, for a price that makes sense for the town.
Mr. Clemens, thank you very much for your efforts, sir.
You're very welcome, and we're open to any further discussion or progress that you need our help with.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mike, town administrator report.
Okay, it's real quick, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to mention that Mary, myself, other department heads, and in particular, Todd Hassett, our town accountant, we continue to work on the budget, and what we're going to do is on Tuesday, we're going to meet in Whitman and have a further discussion, bless you, with some of our peers in Whitman, just to try to get even more of a better idea of where they're going and what impact their plans may have on the town of Hanson and our budgeting process. So, we're aware of the issues in Whitman. We're obviously all aware of the issues in Whitman. We're still fairly comfortable that, in my last couple of discussions with my counterpoints in Whitman, that we're going to be all right on our side, but we want to have those continuing discussions. We want to make sure that what my impressions are from my last couple of discussions are still the approach that Whitman's going to take. And I know it's a very fluid situation in Whitman, so I want to make the board aware of that. We put out the bid for the improvements at County and Liberty Street, the Complete Streets program. We expect to have, and again, our consultants are handling that for us. We expect within the next week or so to be able to close us out on that and come to the Board of Selectmen and make a recommendation of who we'll move forward with on that particular project. The van that was given to us or surrendered to us by BAT over at the Council on Aging, that has been put up for auction, so hopefully we'll be able to sell that and bring a little bit of money in on that. We are moving forward, as the Board of Selectmen asked a little while ago. I've been talking with people in the fire department to bring in a firm that can go after outstanding ambulance bills after we go through our own internal process. When we don't have any more success going forward to bring in, for lack of a better word, a collections agency. There will still continue to be a process by which somebody who has a hardship can be considered. So we're going to bring in a company, and I probably will come to the Board of Selectmen and ask for your permission to sign that contract once we come for you with a recommendation. There aren't many companies that do that, so I don't expect that process to take too long. I'm working on both as we discussed, I believe, at the last meeting, I'm working on trying to put together a joint meeting with all the appropriate boards and committees in terms of the future of recreation in the town of Hanson, as well as putting together, I'm not exactly sure where the planning board is on the review of the housing plan that was put before you at the last meeting, but as we had indicated, the next step is to have that joint meeting and have the board officially the two boards officially endorse it so it can move forward. So we're working on putting that joint meeting together. I wanted to mention that Selectman Hickey and I met with Josh Singer last week. We're trying to assist him and his group in terms of putting together Hanson Day. The meeting, I think, is on the 20th of March.
Yes.
We were able to find some old information from the last Hanson Day, so we could point Josh in a direction of who participated and who he may want to speak to going forward to try to bring them in as well. So I think between Selectman Hickey and I, we'll be able to bring you updates on that as it moves forward. And the only other thing I wanted to mention is, and this also has to do with Selectman Hickey and myself, and actually Phil Clemens, who just left, we are taking a look at trying to do something cooperatively with a property owner over on Alicia Drive, in conjunction with some drainage that we have there that goes into Oldham.
Arlene.
Arlene, I'm sorry, did I say Alicia? Arlene Drive. And again, it does have to do with whether we want to convey that to conservation or we want to keep that as a piece of town property. Because again, if it's conservation and we want to do some work on there, it's, it takes an act of Congress. So, but Jim and I have been working on that, and actually we've had conversations. I think we reported this out several months ago. We've been having conversations with Pembroke to try to do all of this cooperatively because it's the pond is both towns. And I will end with, I found this kind of surprising, and I think it's getting a little ahead of things, but I had mentioned to the Board of Selectmen that there was a grant opportunity with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council in regards to assistance in purchasing the streetlights or retrofitting them if we purchase them. As it so happens, they've suddenly come back to me as of today and said that if we can put the money together in like the next couple of months or so, that they'd give us some money to assist us. I checked, and that was never my impression that we would be in that sort of situation so quickly because we don't have the audit done yet. We don't have a price back from National Grid as to what it would cost us to actually purchase the lights. So I did a sanity check with my point of contact with the state, with Seth Pickering, and he also believes that that's a bit premature. But I wanted to report that out to the Board of Selectmen that I guess we're in a kind of good position where we've pretty much been accepted. I would imagine that in the next go around, which my whole plan was we wouldn't be talking about this probably until the late spring, early summer at the earliest. But it looks like, just in general, it's acceptable to this particular funding agency to give us a hand. So I think it's just a little premature. So I just wanted to let you know that I sent that to you if you want to talk about it at your energy meeting tomorrow. So, and that's all I have.
Good. So did everybody review the minutes for last week's meeting?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm looking for a motion to accept the minutes from February 19th, 2019.
So moved.
Second. Motion's made and seconded. All those in favor? 5-0. Okay, one-day liquor license. I'm gonna read them all and then we'll lump them up into one. Joshua Singer, Hanson Business Network, Saturday, March 16th, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. fundraiser. Kim Anderson, SS Child's Museum, Saturday, March 23rd, 7 to 9 p.m. fundraiser. Newton Parks and Recreation, Newton, Wednesday, April 10th, 11:30 to 3:30 Senior Luau.
They're drinking early.
Susan Walsh, Hanson, Sunday, April 28th, from 12 to 4, baby shower. Looking for a motion to approve these liquor licenses.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor? 5-0, Mary.
No, I'm recusing myself because
Oh,
Hanson
okay.
Business Network.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just,
All right, so 401. Thank you for telling me. Okay, community reports. 200th Anniversary Committee.
I've got nothing, but I'll have something on Thursday, and I think it's been cross-posted as a selectmen's meeting, so we'll have a lot to report out.
Okay, excellent. Final Plymouth County Hospital Reuse Committee.
We haven't met yet, but I think we'll be meeting in the coming weeks.
Okay, thank you. Waquan School Reuse Committee.
We are meeting the 6th of March, Mike?
Yeah, that's pretty much confirmed at this point.
We've had a few little reschedules because of snowstorms,
Oh, okay.
so.
Mixing that up. Okay, excellent. The Hanson School Repair Committee, Mr. Bloss. You have nothing to report, I'm assuming.
Very little.
There you go.
Okay, that being said, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, yes. No,
Motion's made
we're
and
good.
seconded. Mr. Bloss?
No, we're good. That's all right.
Okay. All those in favor? 5-0. Thank you. Good night.
You win again.